Good morning. Good morning. John Benson here with week 5, session 2, copywriter blueprint. Hopefully you guys can make the call this morning. If not, you missed another good call session. So check that out inside the members area if you didn't get a chance to make that. So I'm going to give a few minutes for people to pile on here so that we get as many people into the class as we can today. Today is going to be an interesting little diversion. We're going to be looking at some historically great copy. We're also going to be looking at different ways to do primary solutions. We're going to be hot seating people, of course. We're going to do that. And we're going to make sure that we are all on and recorded live. So can you hear me? Is Liana or Leanne on the call? Let me know.
We can hear you.
Fantastic, right? As I said, some water. Awesome. People can hear me. All right. So we are going to do some homework hot seats today. And I do believe that we've got our first victims coming up here. And then we're going to talk about chiasmus. We're going to talk about primary solutions that aren't trademark terms. We're going to talk about some cool stuff that's not on the syllabus because I like to throw curveballs at you. It's just part of the fun of being an instructor. All right, so let's do this here. Let's get to the homework hot seats. I'm going to get over here to, we've got, okay, who's on the dock today? We have Elaine and Tim. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go over here to get the homework folder, and away we go in a few minutes. Okay, Elaine and Tim. Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone's got their hot seat time that hasn't had it already. So I'm assuming that we are all cool with this. Elaine, are you on the call? Can you come on the call here? Leanne, can you put Leanne?
Yes, so you want me to unmute Elaine?
Please. Oh, we had this
Okay,
problem.
Elaine, you are unmuted.
Okay, Elaine.
Hi, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, we had this problem last time that you sent me the link to your quick start setup. I need the link to the actual niche in order for me to look at this. So can you give me the, so when you go into your niche, just click on, you go into your niche. So I mean, I may be able to get to it through here. I don't think I can. I want to try.
I thought I did resend the right one on Facebook when I resent it.
Then Liana must have grabbed the wrong one. Can you do me a favor and send me in the chat? Can you just chat that over to us?
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me get the software up real quick. It's already open, luckily. So go to my niches.
Yeah.
And then go to my niche, and then I think this is the right one.
Pop it in the chat. We'll be all good and golden.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Is that the right one?
Oh, okay, you put in the questions. Okay, I got it. Cool. Yeah, I think this should be right. Hey, that worked. It's gonna work. Let's see. Let's see if it's gonna work. It looks like it's gonna work. Awesome. Okay, so you worked on solutions, correct? Awesome.
Yeah, I started over with a new market.
Yeah. So I wanted to, and this is good because we've got to, okay, we got to finish the transitions here. We got to get all this done. So am I looking at the right page?
No, I think this is still the quick start. So that sucks.
So this is definitely your niche. So yeah, you just have to select the niche that you're in. So you've got, if I click here, you can tell what well, not, actually I can, yeah.
And I don't know why I'm pulling up, because I filled all those fields out. You know, I did it in the quick start first, and then I went.
I tell you what, we'll skip to Tim, and then you got 10 minutes, and you can find the right link and send it to Leanne. And Leanne, if you can pull it up, send it to me, and we'll find it that way.
Okay.
So the one you have now is not the right one, the one I just put in the chat, John? Hang on one sec.
The one that she just put in the chat.
4406. Okay, that's not the right one. All right, so Elaine, yeah, if you can get me the right one, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll unmute Tim. Hang on a second, Tim.
All right, so hang with us. We're going to get to you, Elaine. So I want to get to Tim. Pull up Tim here. By the way,
Tim, you're unmuted.
Web slowness today on Google's part, as you can see. Look at that. It's just sitting there doing nothing. That's not our fault, folks. Well, it's gonna, there it goes. Come on. Okay. Okay, this may not be an appropriate link either. I'll see. Nope. It's got something weird at the end of it. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to figure this out here. Yep. Yep. This one isn't working either. So maybe I figured it out. Oh, I got it. Okay. Back pain course. Got it. Cool. Just had a one too many things in here. Now Tim, I looked over your stuff, and Elaine, I believe I looked over yours too. So this isn't like we're not doing anything new, but what I'm doing is sharing what's working, what isn't working. Now, okay, so what's interesting is what Tim is doing is writing super short, and that's good. That can damage your gut health. Okay, what I want to know is more about that, because this is old school thinking. The reality is, prescription medications can damage your gut health by destroying what's called the microbiome. Your microbiome is responsible for all the digestion in your body, blah, blah, blah. If your gut health goes, all your health goes. So you can be more lengthy here. Really great work listening to me talk about short copy, but this is where you want to be more lengthy. It doesn't matter. We're cool with you being lengthy. Like if you look at the examples over here, you can see like some of these like get pretty long. You don't have to be super lengthy, but about as long as what I just said. Okay. Learning the real pain. The real lesson that pain persists is the part where I did not understand how that is an alternative. An alternative to prescription pain medicines would be something natural or
John.
meditation or something. Sorry?
Learn the real reason. I left out a word. Learn the real reason why the pain persists.
Okay, so I would have to know more about what that is. A much better approach is why the pain persists, and so that would involve X, Y, and Z. So you want to just elaborate. The ideas are fine, like taking prescription medications. So obviously tweak that. Grammar and all that stuff's all good. All that stuff's fine. You just want to expand on these and make them, and you're going to need several of them. So expand on them and talk about. Just tell. This is your chance here for everyone to tell a story. And don't think of this so much as learning software. I'm just giving the software to help you through it. It's more learning the story, how to tell a story. And this is definitely one of those places that you want to tell a story. Now I'm going to skip over to the myths. Okay. One of the myths is always rely on healthcare establishment solution. Simple fact is you can only expect the symptoms to really feel better within those. Okay. So so I want to look at a couple of things here. We probably want to look at how is the so-called feel better with another prescription myth true? Yeah, that's not a bad way of saying it. Yet another prescription myth. That's cool. I mean, I kind of get where you're coming from. Okay, always rely on the healthcare establishment solution. The simple fact is you can usually expect only symptoms relief. Just more explanation is really all I got to say is like just tell more of a story. And there might be times in a really short email, where we might say, if you rely on so I'll change the wording. If you rely on the healthcare establishment solution to solve your back pain problems, you can usually just expect only a symptoms relief solution. There's a better idea. Go here now. So if you're wondering how CopyPro takes what you just wrote and turn it into an email, I just did.
Got it.
And notice how now that email works perfectly fine. We may use that email, but you might want to have this as a duplicate. So you might want to have, come in here, write the same thing and have a longer version of it. There's all sorts of tricks that you can do to make this kind of stuff work, but it's all good. Now let's get to the meat of everything, the primary solution. Now, the back pain blueprint sounds like a book. It sounds like a book. That's what I would name a book. So it's something inside the blueprint. It's something inside what's the name of the product?
30-day final solution.
May want to rethink that name.
Sure.
Just because of the final solution part. I'm just saying, as a student of history, it may scare people a little bit, but I get
what you're referring to exactly. This is
okay. I know you do.
I wrote a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I know that's not where your intention is, but just because you want to, but so inside the 30-day solution, you probably want to have something like there's got to be a unique mechanism that's working that you do that you're talking about that's different, And what is that unique mechanism? Is it a series of stretches? Is it a meditation technique? What is it that makes it different? So if it was per se, like let's pretend it was meditation, that your whole solution is more like along the lines of what's the guy's name? Famous back pain guy, all about basically being in the brain. Can't remember his name now. Can't remember much today for some reason. But really famous guy, cured Howard Stern's back pain. So his stuff was all about like, getting into analyzing what's emotively wrong and where your body's landing that emotional pain. So that his might be, emotive searching could be the primary solution or whatever, But
Yep.
that's what I want to see here. So what is the mechanism to solve the pain? What do you literally do?
You literally focus on your stress to help lower an imbalance of chemicals, which is producing too many hormones that are keeping the pain in place.
Okay. Okay. So the primary solution could be something like the stress sensor system, or
Yep.
something, something like that, or you could call it, sensory stressors. I mean, you could come up with some kind of a cool name for that. That's going around. You need to be able to be attuned to the senses inside your stress, and that's what I want to see here. It's something that sounds like really sexy. Okay. Again, like if you look through the examples, you're going to see like these all sound, pretty cool, right? You don't know what alpha authenticity is. You don't know what fast date, slow date, but it sounds interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and
I got to remember to look through those.
yeah, so that's going to be very helpful for you. We're going to really radically expand these examples as we go by. So that's where I want you to focus on right now, is just focus on there, and let's come back to that. Cool.
Great.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Okay, Elaine, do we have an answer? Do we have or Leanne rather? Do we have an answer for Elaine?
I am trying to log into Elaine's account to grab her niche right now, so give me 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, if you log into your account, Elaine, you should just go to your niches and search for the title of the niche, and that should just pull it up right here. So if I go under, if I search for my weight loss, if I search for my weight loss niche, it's going to pull up that number. So that's all I need. So. All right, are you there?
Yeah, I'm going into her niche because she was having trouble with it. Give me one
Okay.
sec.
Okay. All right, so while we're doing that, we're not going to have dead air time. We'll go ahead and talk about, I'm going to skip over here. We'll come back to this, Elaine. We will come back to this. I'm going to skip over here to go back through some interesting teaching stuff. We'll come back to Elaine. Not going to forget you. A primary solution tip, and you're going to see this inside the copy that we're using as a demo today, that we're going to analyze a couple of copy greats. One is a good friend of mine that has the top offer on ClickBank in the health and weight loss space. And we're going to go back to John Carlton's famous golfer ad to look at how he does this too. When all else fails with your primary solution, and it's not going to sound as cool, but you can always go literal, like meaning, the primary solution is, you say, you can't say something I call, you have to edit that out. But you can say the trick to it all was a secret tea made with cayenne pepper. Okay, for example, they use cayenne pepper in this. I believe it's the flat belly fix. And so cayenne pepper is their primary solution, but it's blended into a tea that has all these other herbs in it. But that's still their primary solution. Is it as cool as this? No. But when you're stuck, you can always go that way. And when that fails, the holy grail of X, okay, you can always use phrases like that. What the primary solution is something I call the holy grail of fat loss. Now, if everyone used that, you could see why I saved this tip for last, because it would get really redundant. Okay, everybody's using the holy grail of this, and it doesn't have to be the holy grail. I'm giving you the holy grail as an example. Mother Nature's cure for blank. That kind of stuff. So I want to get into more specific tips here, but as soon as and Leanne, just interrupt me whenever we have the.
I've got the login. It's the same one, so I don't know why. Let me just Skype. I'll just put it in the chat for you. Hang on one second.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna keep trying here, guys. Just 1 second here. Go over to the chat.
Did you get it?
1 second here. Opening now. And this looks like we're gonna have the same problem here. So yeah, it's just not right. So Elaine, I'll have to get with you after the call, or get with Leanne after the call and figure out what's going on here, because it's pulling up an incomplete niche, and it's impossible for that to happen because CopyPro saves everything, you know, consistently. So so yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Leanne, do you have any answers, or do you?
Is that, Elaine, is that the right? I chose the Save Your Brain niche. She's saying the fields are filled out. So
Leanne, if you could, Elaine, are you able to come on and share your screen?
she probably can. Hang on 1 sec.
Okay, guys, just stay with us here. Sorry about the technical issues here, but
Okay, Elaine, you're unmuted and we can make her presenter as well.
okay. So why don't we make Elaine the presenter here for a moment and share your screen, and then I'll probably see what's wrong at the same time. But if not, we can at least, you know.
I noticed none of my false solutions saved in all the individual fields. I don't know why, but in all the other categories under solutions, all of those are saved correctly. I know I did 6 to 7 false solutions, and I don't know why. My question is, when it says to name this entry, does each of those need a different name? Because I've been putting them all under Brain Course.
It'd probably be a good idea to name them something you could find. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, does each individual false solution need a different name, or can they all just be named under Brain Course?
I would, because you want to be able to find them easier. So in other words, otherwise you might pull them up in a niche and it'll just say Brain Course, Brain Course, Brain Course, Brain Course. So you don't know which one to edit.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's why it didn't save properly, is because the name this entry. I thought they were like all categorized under this one entry. So
no, it wouldn't have done that, because we default to having the name being entry if you don't name it. So yeah, once you click save, it's going to save. I mean, it's the only thing I think of is that you know, system crash or something crashed between you and the server or something like that. But
yeah.
let's share your screen so we can move on to get the answers. The most important thing here.
So do you guys do the sharing, or do I?
Okay, I just gave you something, should have popped up on your screen, Elaine.
There you
Okay.
go. Okay.
All right. So okay. So I do have like role models and success myths. I have success traits. I have all the other ones filled out. So I don't know if we want to look at those instead. And my false solutions all ended up in this over in this box over here.
Right. So I was going to talk about the false solutions here right off the bat. So so Tim had the problem of the false solutions being too short, and this is the problem of it being too long. So the reason we give like a short field there and we give longer field for the truth is because we want you to write more in the truth. So this is what you want to write more, like spending hundreds, even $1,000 latest supplements is probably the end of that.
Okay.
So in other words, you know, and then you can change your transition. Is this a bad idea? Because even though you may believe that this is going to restore your brain function, you're going to only find out you're just more broke, you know, so that would make a good truth statement to that.
Yeah, that's how I had it originally. Yeah, see, I don't know, just none of them are here now. I don't know why. I don't know what happened.
Scroll down.
Yeah, but there's all, like, where's all my other ones? Or unless they're in. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, they're here. So hemorrhaging money on expensive health gadgets.
Right. So again, it's just too long, and we need to get your transition and the truth. It has to be just a completed section.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And here's why. So you scroll down now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not trying to get into software here, but when you click name this entry, so just copy a field, and you can, instead of naming it something, that you can just copy one of your primary fields and paste it in there.
Okay. All right. I think that's probably what screwed up for me.
So yeah, I could. It would not have screwed up saving it. I mean, I know the software too well. So just click false solution. and
Just main
copy
category.
and paste one new doctor or practitioner after another. So just
Okay.
select that, copy all that. Yeah. And I would copy that and name the entry that. So
Oh,
that
wait.
way you can find the entry that way.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just going to see brain course, brain course, brain course, brain course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. These are not mandatory to make the software work. It's just going to help people a lot to be able to see it. So now when you scroll up, you'll see that inside those entry boxes.
Okay. So I'll redo that. But
Yeah, all right. So yeah. So again, these are all having the same issues. Extreme healing diets, and so that's the end of the enduring extreme healing diets is the end of the solution. The
okay.
transition is like, and that's about it because you're trapped hoping that the cure will blah blah blah. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you're actually writing it all in one box, and if you just separate these out, then that's going to be the answer to that. So
Okay.
all right, cool. Let's go to primary solution.
Oh, right here.
Okay, so the Save Your Brain protocol is not bad. It sounds like the name of the book again, but what's the name of the product?
The course is called the Save Your Brain Protocol, a 6-week process to rescuing your brain health, or 6 steps to rescuing your brain health, something like that.
Okay, great. Now click on rules.
That's over here. How do I get rid of this window?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so under rules, and if you click on the video, and by the way, this is a great example, a great reminder to John to say the rule should have in here, this is not the name of your product. It does say that in the video, but it also looks like you haven't, like, you're on an older version. That's another thing that may be an issue that you might want to clear your cache when we're done with this and then refresh your screen because there's videos up for this stuff too. But can you click on examples? So this is, and this was also taught in the course. So just bear in mind that none of those are the name of the products. So you don't want your primary solution to have anything to do with the name of your product. So can you copy your primary solution and just delete it for a second so you keep it in cache? And so you can see the hint that's underneath that. So the solution is what I call blank. It's something about the product that makes the product work. And I'm going to expand the help section as soon as we get off the call today to thoroughly explain that. It's never the name of your product. Okay. So yeah. So let's think of something that's not specific to the name of the product. The name of the product's fine. But let's think of something that what makes that product, what is the unique mechanism behind that product?
Yeah, I mean, for the buyer, it's really explaining thoroughly through a sequence of steps in a certain order how to dissect, like, why their brain isn't working and then what to do about it.
Right, but that's not a mechanism. So the mechanism is like there's something about your product that, okay, for example, my product contains a technique called neurofiltering. That is a process where it's a 10-step process where we ask you, 10 specific questions that retrains your brain into thinking blah, 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 blah. That's what a primary solution is. That it's the unique mechanism that makes the brain, can you paste that back in for me, please? That makes the name of your product work.
Okay, I guess I'll have to figure it out for a course because he takes people step by step through all the different areas of health that could be sabotaging their brain health. And then you figure out, so it's like a customized way of identifying what is your unique cause of your brain failing.
So it might be called, neural fingerprints. Okay, so everyone's got a specific neural fingerprint. In other words, a problem with their brain, and that's the reason why. So you always want to you title case it. See that over there on the look at the words. Yeah, and the reason why you want to do that is because that looks so much more official.
Or how about neurosignature? No,
neurosignature is even better. Yes, this is how we create things. The neurosignature. Okay. Yeah, so you could say the primary solution is something we call neurosignature training or neurosignature, the neurosignature training. So that's, or whatever you can use a different word. The neurosignature system would also work. Okay, so I'm just giving you ideas. Okay, so now you can say, what is the neurosignature system in the primary solution defined? And you could say, oh, this is where we take 7 known blah, 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 and do this for the brain, so blah, blah, blah. And that is only found within the name of this course.
Okay.
Now, so you can even make neurosignature one word, like neuro, capital S, So I just
Yeah.
play around with things like that. So now you got neurosignature system.
That's awesome.
You can play around with stuff like this. And so, and by the way, this is part of what you get as a massive extra credit for being on part of these calls. Occasionally I'll come up with primary solutions that make people tons of money or whatever, because I do. This is part of what we do. And we do this on the live coaching calls every 2 weeks. Leanne holds those calls. So if someone's stuck on a neural signature, now you got me saying it. If someone's stuck on a solution or a cause that they can't figure out, we can help you brainstorm it. And the way that I thought through that, I want you guys to hear that. And so, Elaine, that's the time for the homework now. Let's turn me back over to the screen, presenter, please. But thank you for going through this. This is good. Now, I want to walk you guys through what I did to come up with that neurosignature system. Well, actually, I came up with neurofingerprinting because the very first thing I thought was fingerprints. Okay, fingerprints is unique. So why did I think of fingerprints? Okay, well, neuro was obvious, right? It was a brain product. So she didn't have the word neuro in her title, so in her name. So I thought of, okay, well, what else? So I just did this in my head. If I typed in brain, what would Google come up with?
Oh, you're asking me, sorry. A million things and like anatomy and that sort of thing. Hello?
Did we lose your audio?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm back now. I lost you guys.
John, we can't hear you at all.
We're going to go back to the rest of the class here. So, okay. So what I was going through in my mind was, okay, she said it's unique to X. Well, what else is unique? So this is how I'm thinking through this. What else is unique? Well, fingerprints are unique. Just popped in my brain. So neuro fingerprinting, okay. And then Elaine made that much better. Well, what about a signature? now it's so much better. Now that's like way better than mine. But if it wasn't for that idea, she wouldn't have come up with it. And that's how great creative tends to work. So I would have written down neuro fingerprinting and eventually come up with probably, what else is unique? Well, signature, eye color or whatever. Some of it will not be good and some of it will be killer. And that's how you come up with these primary solutions. And Tim, you can take the same approach for your stuff. You can think, what is it doing? So you're describing it to yourself. And then you say, okay, what other words are associated with this? And you start putting them together. And by the way, the funny thing is, as a musician, this is how we would name bands. We would be writing, like, what are we all about? Writing the names of this, and well, what is that related to? So that's how you come up with primary solutions, which, by the way, these work only if all else fails. If all else fails. And so it should never, ever be used first and foremost, ever. This is if everything else fails, use these kind of techniques, okay? So now we're gonna get into a couple things where we dive into some copying tips here. Take your avatars and turn them into reluctant heroes. Now, this is something great for a story. Dobby on the call today said, hey, I got this, the sales page that's going up, and they're basically, the direct response stuff isn't gonna work. And I disagree with that entirely because it can work. You can do direct response within those little sections of copy while still being, compliant and all that. And B, even if it had to work, look what I'm doing here. My wife ran into the room in tears. I start in the middle of a story. And that could be just a paragraph, okay? But what am I doing there? It's not just starting in the middle of the story. I'm turning my wife into a reluctant hero in this particular conversation. And we're gonna show you a letter that does exactly that. My wife, she ran in crying. It starts with that, pretty much almost that exact sentence. And she's like, don't touch me, I'm fat, I'll never be thin. And he's the hero for finding the solution, but he turns her into the reluctant hero for like, no, I'm brave enough to go through this, etc. And now you've got a man and a woman both being heroes, and they're both being propped up. So you're talking to your avatar, And you're also talking to your avatar's target, okay? An avatar target is who you want to share, who you want your avatar to share your information with. So if your avatar is a dieter, for example, you might want to share their information with their family. Well, now you've got both of them in the same story. And that's a great way to lock your entire audience into the journey of the winner. Okay, now we're gonna go into something kind of cool here. This is called a chiasmus, okay? A chiasmus is a Grecian story narrative. It's found through a lot of Greek legends. It's even in the Bible. The entire book of Mark is written in a chiasmus. Matthew's pretty much chiasmus. And where this comes from is we know that we know that this isn't history. When you're seeing a chiasmus, we know that they're taking it and they're turning history into a story, and they're making the story more compelling. It's a technique used throughout a lot of literature, okay? And it's not too difficult to understand. It's just kind of difficult to pull off unless you know some tricks, okay? Now I'm going to give you the most basic form of a chiasmus. In fact, I even thought about doing I had a product with a headline. It's like the most profitable sales letter ever written was written by Aristotle. You know, because one Greek guy that everyone knows, Aristotle's most potent sales letter, because it's a chiasmus, right? So here's how a chiasmus works: is you make point 1. That leads you to point 2, and that leads you to point 3. Point 3 is always the crux of your message, the most important part of your message. And then in a traditional chiasmus, it's the inverse of point 2, the opposite of that, the inverse of point 1. So you can see what we've done here. We just formed that. All I've done is say something else that leads me to the message, and then the inverse of something, and then the inverse. So it's a point counterpoint structure, okay? Now, in case you're wondering what the hell does that look like, what are you talking about? I'm going to give you like an example using the simplest version of a chiasmus, okay? The worst thing you can do to lose fat is cardio. Now, you may think that that's the premise of what I'm trying to say, but as you saw in that formula, that's not. You know, the premise is coming in the middle. Cardio drains your energy, and your body needs that energy to repair muscle damage after a workout. In fact, muscle growth and resistance training is a far better long-term fat burning solution. So I leaped from the worst thing to do is cardio to what I am trying to get them to understand, that muscle growth and resistance training is a much better fat burner. Now, watch me go backwards. Cardio is great for your heart, and brisk walking actually helps you restore energy. What is this? Everyone should be screaming duality at this point. Everyone should be screaming push-pull. Cardio drains your energy, restores your energy. Do you see what I'm doing here? So you could even say traditional long cardio drains your energy if you want to be more specific. I did this very quickly just to give you the idea. And then I end with, that's why the best advice for increasing your metabolism and burning more fat is to exchange cardio for resistance training. Now, obviously, this would be a much longer chiasmus in reality. So I'd be, I'm showing this as a teaching mechanism. But notice what I'm doing. Worst thing, best advice. Lose fat, increase metabolism. Cardio. Now, cardio, resistance training. They are literally inverses of each other. However, I could say, that's why the best advice I have for you is to forget all about cardio. And I could just say that. That's called bookending, right? So I could say the worst thing for you is to lose fat is cardio. That's why the worst thing you can do to lose fat is cardio. Now, obviously, if I said that, the sentence is not as interesting, and I made it a little bit more completely like a traditional chiasmus where it's always the inverse of a point, or you're using inverted language. So if I say worst thing here, I say best thing here. So you can see this, and again, there's a guy that dissects this in I think he does Matthew. He might do Mark. It's either Matthew or Mark, and takes it all and breaks the entire thing down into a chiasmus. And when you see it, it's kind of like, oh, wow, whoever wrote that was really smart. It was definitely not a fisherman. It was definitely very, very educated in Greek, because it's very complicated to do this. But they wrote the whole book in a chiasmus, right? Well, they would write whole stories in chiasmus. And so a chiasmus is great for doing any sort of story, any sort of offer. So when you're building an offer, I want to show you how this could work. It's like, you could say, look, so you could make a point of inside an offer. Look, you and I both know the worst thing to do is X. Blah, 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 blah. In fact, now you know that Y is the answer, okay? Now look, X can be all right. However, you want to avoid it, blah, blah, blah. And that's why the best advice, you could just do it so simply, like a little bitty paragraph. You can have these chiasmus techniques, and it's just a way for your brain to really lock onto an idea, to lock onto, to be able to really firmly implant that idea. Again, in traditional copywriting, this is called tying down. So if you make a point like, hey, the worst thing you can do to lose fat is cardio, and I'm making a point, I want to tie that down. I can tie it down in two ways. I can say, that's why now you know the worst thing you can do to lose fat is cardio. Now, why our brains need that, I'm not sure, but I forget to do this unless I'm thinking of this formula. So I'll make a point inside of a sales letter, blah, 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 and I'll forget to anchor it down. And also, when you anchor it down, the next turnaround for something is really simple. You know, speaking of fat loss, oh, remember, completely different topic. And I could go into it. Remember, even though I've never brought it up, remember, you need protein to lose fat too. Okay, I'm just making, that's true, but it's like I'm just giving you get the idea. Now I could do the whole chiasmus for the protein thing, right? So this is how you build a case. This is how you build a syllogistic argument, if you will, inside copy, and it's a really creative way of doing it. So I told you I would give more into the chiasmus technique, and I have. But now we're going to dive into some really cool. And in case you're wondering, no, we're not. They're not chiasmus, at least not that I know of. So I'm going to go into the flat belly fix here. And I'm going into flat belly fix because A, it's one of the top offers on ClickBank right now, and B, it uses a lot of the techniques that we're talking about here. Discovered how I helped my crippled wife shed 23 pounds of unwanted fat and completely flatten her belly. And so no, there's a lot of redundancy in here. Can you guys see the pattern here? If the pattern isn't leaping out by now, if you don't see how without, yeah. In case you're wondering, this is a guy that I've worked with many times. He is a student of mine. So yes, this is a very good headline. Do you know something that sticks out? Shed 23 pounds. Now, I'm going to get on him a little bit here because that's my word. So I started to say shed. Now, Davi's on the call. He will tell you right now that Facebook, this is their front-facing page, would cringe if they said burn or lose. But for whatever reason, shed works. And he and I, we've had this conversation, and it's just so weird what works and what doesn't. But this is the same formula. Discover something positive. Make this stand out like a sore thumb because this looks like you can lose 23 pounds. Shed 23 pounds without blah, 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 blah. Okay, he's turning her into the hero. She's the reluctant hero. And now he says, I didn't want to tell you my wife's story. It's too private. It's too painful. So is this starting off positive or negative, folks? It's very negative. It's completely painful. However, that one turn is all it takes. The near miraculous health and weight loss trick we stumbled on. Okay, near miraculous. If he would have said miraculous, near miraculous slips under the radar. Weight loss trick we stumbled on, saved my life's wife, getting her blah, 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 is too important to hide. Now, look what he does. The story starts here. She woke up screaming. That's what I remember the most. That's what broke my heart. It's good copy. He didn't write it, but it's good copy. Now, everything we've been talking about is right here in this letter. And you're probably thinking, oh, John, you planned this letter this way, right? Nope. Leanne shot this over to me this morning. She goes, you might want to look at flat belly fix for a primary solution. I go, no, I'll look for everything else. Because I know the letter, but also, yeah, that's using all the techniques we're talking about. All the techniques I'm teaching you are right here, right in front of you. And now what I would like you to do is to go through this kind of a letter. And by the flatbellyfix.com/written is where you can find it. And go through and see all the tricks that we've been talking about. And you know what I mean by tricks. If you've been on my calls in the morning, when I say tricks, I'm not talking about deceptions. I'm talking about tactics. That's just another way for me to say tactics, okay? The tactics that we've been talking about, the strategies we've been talking about, starting in the middle of a story, starting with a benefit with a out. That's the benefit formula. You know, benefit this, massive claim without pain. Okay? without doing any exercise, without starving herself, and without doing any, notice he used more than one, okay? And without doing any exercise more strenuous than walking to the fridge. And that's a great one. He turned a negative into a positive. No more strenuous than walking to the fridge. Okay, starts in the middle of the story. That's what I remember the most, okay? My beautiful, badass wife, Tara, okay? He's making her into a hero. Now, you would think, well, Tara's the person that's fat. She's the person no. Read the rest of the letter, you can find out, oh no, she's a cop. Look at this. Look at the hero here. A woman who could take down a perp twice her size with nothing but a nightstick. Was the meanest power forward with the college basketball team. Now, I personally think you should break these sentences up completely, okay? But it's not hurting his conversions much, okay? And then scream so loud to ringing in my ears like a metal concert. Now, the one thing I want you to, as a copywriter, I look at when I'm reading copy is just about every sentence has a purpose to it. And remember that blah, blah copy? And remember when I was getting on Tim's case a little bit about like, well, okay, you're saying something, but there's not a completed sentence there. Tim, that chiasmus technique will work beautifully for you when it comes down to you and everyone else, by the way, that's having troubles coming up with false solutions, etc. You can build cases around it like that. You can build cases using a chiasmus, okay? You don't have to tie it all down all the time, but I think it's a really good technique to learn. Now, every sentence in here has something juicy in it, okay? Beautiful badass, take down a perp, the meanest power forward of our college basketball team. These should all be different sentences, by the way. Absolutely should be different sentences. This would actually increase the conversion, so help me God. Shut up, anyone stupid enough to give her lip with a cop stare. Okay, so this is obviously not a weak person, right? Woke up in a cold sweat, jaw clenched, so tight, I thought she would break her teeth. So he didn't say woke up in a cold sweat or woke up in a cold sweat with her jaw clenched really tight. So if you want to hear the difference between great copy and bad copy or just average copy, she woke up in a cold sweat with her jaw clenched really tight. Not bad. Woke up in a cold sweat with her jaw clenched really tight. So tight I thought she would break her teeth. That's better. Okay. Screamed so loud, it was like being at a heavy metal concert. You see what he's doing. Every sentence has got something to it. You know, she wasn't listening. She was there again, back on her squad car. Really great stuff. He's putting you into the story, right? Don't touch me, I'm fat, I'm disgusting, and goes into, so the whole thing is about her story, right? But who's the hero? They both are, and that's what I want to show you this to you. They're both the hero. She's been an athlete her whole life. It's one of the things that made me fall in love with her. Okay, women read this and they just gush. They love this. This guy knows how to write for women. Really knows how to write for women really well. He knows his audience is 70% women. And they can all relate to this story. Most of them can relate. But more than that, and I want you to hear this, there's nothing nefarious going on here. More than that, they can relate, or they want to relate, to a man who loves his woman as much as he clearly loves her. Okay? Look at this. I felt a wave of shame. My wife, the woman I promised to protect and take care of. This is, okay, so you're seeing a dream come true mixed in with a nightmare in reality. And what do we call that, folks? We call that duality. A wave of shame. She was my wife. Promised to protect and take care of. Horrible, beautiful. Horrible. Okay, he's doing this. Horrible, 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 beautiful. Great stories have this, you know. They go back and forth. They mix duality. So we're going to talk a lot about stories because this is a very important concept. We're tying everything down into the next couple of weeks where you're going to be looking at your own sales letter and how does this work? Well, all these techniques are right here in this sales letter, okay? So let's go down and show you one more thing here. His unique mechanism, 2 weeks later, the solution hit me in the face. That's his unique mechanism. Now, his solution, check this out, was pepper spray, okay? Now, look, obviously, he's like, oh, okay, just take pepper spray and shoot in your eyes. That's the primary solution is pepper spray. What I'm saying, his primary solution here is something inside pepper spray. So he said he was maced in the face or whatever. And what's going on with the pepper spray? You have to read this to understand what's going on here. So he discovered that there's something inside pepper spray that could rapidly raise your blood temperature or your body temperature. The hotter your body is, the more fat you lose. So OC used in pepper spray grenades. This right here, Oleurosin capsium. Okay, and guess what else has that? He comes down here, cayenne pepper. So cayenne pepper is one of his He's not going to say it's something I call cayenne pepper, but you can see that's the unique mechanism. So there's something unique about this product. Okay, it has this weird capsaicin. It says, weird, what's this going on? How does he tie in cayenne pepper? Now he goes in fact, I think he even used it look, the Holy Grail spice. How about that? I didn't even know it was in here. The Holy Grail spice that just might save my wife's life. There you go. Now that would make a great subject line, a great headline. A Holy Grail spice that saved my wife's life. Boom. The Holy Grail of weight loss. Okay, this is, I think maybe he was listening to me a little too much. If you're stuck for something, say Holy Grail. Okay, that's a really good technique, right? Can you see how this is working? So if you're stuck on something, this is what you want to do. This is how you want to do it. So look through this letter, see what he's doing, and I think that you can really model some really great stuff here. Now, I do believe that we're unfortunately gonna run out of time because we had so many technical issues. I want to get to questions and answers. So Leanne, let's come on and do some Q&A here. We're gonna come back to the PowerPoint because I could dissect that copy all day long. That's something I really love to do. We might do a bonus class here with nothing but me dissecting an entire letter. That'd be kind of fun. But Leanne, are you with us?
I'm with you. I'm just looking for questions. People, you got questions, ask them now. I think they were just intently following along and we don't really have any questions.
Well, I was going and then I just all of a sudden turned on a dime there because I looked at the clock. I was like, oh crap. I want to make sure that we get plenty of Q&A in here because our Friday calls are mostly about, hey, I'm going to dissect copy. I'm going to show you how people are using techniques that I'm teaching. And it's kind of cool when we can show it with the top letters out there that's going on, either historic or current. That's the current top letter on ClickBank. So yeah, you can see how it's all right there in black and white, literally. So do we have any questions? Anyone want to come on and make comments? Anyone want to have anything to say?
Let's see, we got Judy with a couple. Let's see, she asked, the first question was, what are the things about us which identify us as unique? And I'm not sure at what point she asked that. So it might have been relative to something you were saying. So Judy, if you want to elaborate on that, and then I'll ask Debbie's question. Oh, she said that was just a response. Okay. So Debbie is asking, when you use chiasmus in sales letters, do you structure the entire letter as one long chiasmus or each section as its own?
That's a great question. You can do both. If you have the wherewithal to structure the entire letter as a chiasmus, it's really hard. I mean, I've tried it. It's really hard. I like to do sections as chiasmuses. So honestly, it's a reminder for me to tie something down. That's why I use it. And if you are brave enough to do the entire sales letter that way, that's awesome. I was thinking about creating a blueprint for CopyPro that was a chiasmus sales letter, and just to take, it would take me a couple of weeks to do it, to like sit down and write a template that anyone could use, but it's also a chiasmus. I mean, that's trick stuff, man. I could sell that just by itself, but just to do that and to see how well that worked for people would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think it's an experiment worth trying. Certainly, I'd say where it's really worth trying is in emails. Now blind emails work really well. I mean, so I can send out a blind email. I mean, I wrote a couple of emails for our new CBD product, and my partner's looking at them going, oh my gosh, I don't know, man. Are you sure you want to send this out? Because it's really controversial, shall we say? But it's good. It's going to get people to click, and it's pretty blind. I mean, you don't know what I'm talking about. So that wouldn't work for chiasmus. But for content pieces or for email that is talking about a concept, talking about a concept and why this is such a terrible thing you need to avoid this. Then you can tie it down with, okay, now you know why you need to avoid it. That's the tie down. That's the end of the chiasmus. You just need to know what to do instead. I mentioned it in the middle. Go back and read that again if you want to. So you can actually do all kinds of go back tricks and read that. And if you want to read more, click here. Then you go to the sales letter that talks about your main concept. Works really well for emails. Cool.
Oh, Debbie is asking, can you please elaborate on what you mean by a reluctant hero? What's reluctant about the hero part of it?
A reluctant hero is like the hero's journey. It's the hero's journey always starts off with somebody that's like, hey, I never sought out to be a hero. I'm just a normal guy, but the life circumstances thrust me into a position where I was forced to act. So Abraham Lincoln would be a reluctant hero example. Lincoln's a great model for that. Lincoln was a man that became a hero because of his time. It wasn't necessarily because of who he was. He became who he was because of his circumstances, as a lot of historians will talk about. And thank God he did, right? But that being said, reluctant hero, the hero's journey is something that every copywriter should know. Hero's journey, just there's tons of stuff online about it, but it's centered around the reluctant hero, the man that's forced to leave. Is some tragedy happens and he's forced to do something. I'll give you a great example. Tragedy happened to me. I was forced to know all about heart disease. I never thought I'd ever have to learn about heart. I was the reluctant hero when it came down to figuring out how to solve the riddle of heart disease, because I had it and almost died from it. So that's an idea of reluctant hero. What adamant in that letter is a little bit different. It's the reluctant hero was his wife, was the impetus for him going off and doing something. So he's the actual hero of the story, but he's making her out to be the hero of life. And that's what I mean by getting the double hero going. And if you're stuck for a story, use an avatar. Now his avatar was his wife, so it was easy, but and it's always better to use something personal. So that's the avatar on steroids, is right there. Okay, his avatar is his wife, who happens to be the hero of the story. He's the real hero, but you see where I'm going with this? So he's the hero for figuring it out, but she's the hero for going through it, and they're both heroes. So, but in that story she didn't set out to solve weight loss, and he didn't set out to solve weight loss. It was part of it. Just happened. They were just married, and now they have to face this problem, and then he figured it out. So,
And for like great examples from like popular books or movies, if you look at any like Star Wars, Harry Potter, those are all reluctant heroes. Like Harry Potter was just, he didn't set out to kill Voldemort, right? He was thrust into that world. What's that one where Alice in Wonderland, right? She was just minding her own business. So it's that case where, the person, like John said, you were minding your own business, and all of a sudden you get thrust into a situation and you become the hero.
Yeah, the whole I was minding my own business when X happened is it's kind of a cool way to intro that in your head. It might even be a cool way to intro that in copy.
Yeah, that's why, because I think of those characters, right? Of Harry living under a stairway. I was just minding my own business being Harry. And the Jedi Knight, I'm not a Jedi Knight. I'm just a guy living on some planet somewhere. And then all of a sudden they get thrust into that situation. And there's a really hard to understand book on the hero's journey. But if you just Google hero's journey, there are good like synopsises of it where you can understand. They break it down into like, I think it's 14 or 15 steps. And once you understand them, you understand them. Like you'll be able to recognize it, and you won't forget it. So just Google hero's journey and look for the 15 steps or 16 steps, and it becomes very apparent.
It's a chiasmus, by the way. So.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what is interesting about a chiasmus? When I did stand-up, we would use a chiasmus, a sort of chiasmus technique when we did like callbacks. Mm-hmm. So if we did a joke at the beginning of our set, and then towards the end of our set, we would do a joke that called back to that, which is kind of chiasmus-ish, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the reasons is that it makes the audience, first of all, if they were like losing attention, it makes them pay attention, because they're answering it in their heads. They're going, oh, I recognize that. And it's a technique that makes a person feel smart. It sets off a little dopamine surge.
Yeah, and that's the really wicked psychology behind why that works, is because when they read that last sentence, they go, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, it's the tie downs. That's why I remember, thanks for reminding me of that, Leanne. I remember it was John Carlton giving it when he and I, God, that was a hell of an audience. That was me, him, and Chris Haddad and David. God, it wasn't David, but Joe Sugarman spoke at one event. It was like,
Wow.
it was
Wow.
awesome, man. And
What a
so,
freaking lineup.
and what John said, he goes, you want to make the person reading your letter feel like a freaking genius after you made them feel like, like they're freaking guilty and they're, completely, gonna die. But how you make them feel like a freaking genius is by using phrases like, we both know. Yeah, that, and then you tie it down. You do a lot of tie down. So you'll say, hey, here's something that's blah blah blah, that's going to help you, improve your golf swing. It's something called blank. And so, and then he'll go into blank does this, blank does this, blank does this. He goes, now you probably get how blank helps your golf swing, right? And you're, yeah, I get that totally. Yeah, I'm a genius. It's just a tie down, but it is a little dopamine hit. And by the way, it's the same reason why you go to a movie theater and you're giving those trivia questions and they're like, what number comes after 3? Is it 17? Is it 19? Is it 4? There's always some asshole in the audience going, well, it depends on if you're using quantum math or not, but you get the idea. Yeah. Yeah.
There's always an asshole.
There's always those guys.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. Well, it depends on it. So yeah, you definitely want to give dopamine hits in your letter. So that's a great point.
Always. Yep. Yeses and dopamine.
Yeah,
And
Facebook built $1 billion business on dopamine hits. So.
Who did?
Facebook.
Oh shit, yeah.
Facebook is just all about dopamine hits, man.
So Devin says,
go ahead.
there are chiasmuses in classical music where the themes come back for a final go through. Some pieces even close in concerto or symphony with a similar theme from the first movement. So there you go. It's like universal. We use it in comedy, use it in music, use it in sales letters, because it freaking works.
Those damn Greeks. Smart guys, those Greeks. So, yeah. But when you see it in like stuff that you don't know, I mean, I count on one hand the number of people that know that some of the Gospels in the New Testament are written in chiasmus. I mean, that's that's really cool. I mean, I guess for my point, it's really kind of cool. But yeah, it's a pattern you'll spot. It's kind of like when you first see fractals, right? If you've ever done any sort of journey work, or have you ever looked at fractals in art or whatever, however you see fractals, and then you start seeing fractals everywhere, it's like, oh, the whole world's a fractal. And there's people that, because of the reticular activating device in your brain, they see fractals everywhere and they think the whole universe is one big fractal. Some of that's just, our brains like to fill in blanks. So that's another thing I would like to key on while we're waiting for our next and final question, is the fact that your brain wants to key on something. We all want to have a pattern, right? We all want to, the brain is a pattern recognition machine, which is why if you leave those blanks for people to fill in, they will fill them in. If you can paint a vivid picture, and you can also then say, imagine what that must have felt like, and your brain's going to fill that in. It wants to fill that in. It insists that it fills that in. And so all great storytellers know this, that the imagination of your reader is far more potent than anything you could write, which is why everyone always says the book's better than the movie. Because in their mind, they created a scene that's like way better, right? Now, even though I've seen movies I thought were better than the book, but it's rare. It's rare.
Hey, we do have a couple of questions. Let me get to, Judy was asking, do you know who dissected the chiasmus in the New Testament?
Yeah, I do. I do. You want to look at Richard Carrier, Dr. Richard Carrier. He's a mythicist. He's a historian. He's got one of the few peer-reviewed books on mythicism. It's an interesting topic to me as a former pastor guy. Yeah, that's Richard Carrier stuff. I don't remember the exact video that he does that in, but I can find it for you.
And Tim has a comment, a correction. He shared the name of the project during his hot seat, his 30-day final solution. He said that was a memory misfire. Oops. I know why that was not a good name at all. So good for that. He says 30-day final answer was the actual name.
Okay. Yeah, and so and let's talk about that name, and we'll conclude our televised show with that name. So does that name tell you by itself that this is a back pain solution?
Do you want me to unmute Tim?
No, just
Okay.
I want Tim to be thinking about this. So
Yeah.
Tim, ask yourself, if I saw that just lying on, if I saw a book with that, nothing more, no pictures on the book, if I saw a book cover with just the title, would that say, oh, that's what I need for my back pain? And I
As
think the answer
opposed,
is readily apparent.
yeah, as opposed to you were asking about that author with the back pain, and it's John Sarno, and his
Sarno.
book was Understanding Back Pain. I mean, you can't get clearer than that.
So let me give you a great tip for a book title, guys, or for a title of any product. It's a great tip, and it's going to seem really pedantic. Especially, it's going to grate on your nerves as a copywriter. Excuse me. What you do is you look at the most popular search terms for whatever topic you're writing on. Now, two friends of mine, if you guys might know, Hollis Carter, Michael Lovitch, they run a baby bathwater. It's a really cool mastermind that they got going. I've known those guys for years, and one of the things that they did years ago, Hollis did years ago, is he would help people climb way up on Amazon book rankings, and the way that he would do it is he would title books the exact search key phrase that was the most popular. So instead of calling a book like, you know, the fat loss solution, he would say, how to lose stubborn belly fat around, how to lose stubborn belly fat and arm fat would be the name of the book, because that was the #1 search term. So the trick is very simple. It's like the #1 search term on Amazon and Google being married. Okay, it's the #1 search term on Google, and you search that term. When you search the term and the book cover comes up and it is literally that term, how many people do you think will click on that book? So now, I'm not suggesting that you necessarily have to do that technique all the time. What I am suggesting is what I've always talked about, is all my books, the titles of my books, you don't have to guess what they are. I mean, you know, Fit Over 40, you know, Every Other Day Diet even has the name of it. It even has the process in the title. So I want you to be thinking about, like, make a title that I don't have to think about. The primary solution is something that could be completely mysterious. I don't know what it is, but I forget who wrote one the other day, but it was like, I don't know what that is, but I want it, is what was my response. I think it was Derek that wrote one. Like, I don't know what that is, but I want it. And so that's what you want to say. The primary solution sounds really esoteric. It sounds mysterious. It sounds like, ooh, like we came up with a good one today. The neuro signature. That's good. I can remember that. So I can remember that even this far down the road, talking about a whole bunch of other stuff, because it's good. I don't know what that means. Neuro signature system. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I just know that it sounds really cool. It sounds really kind of, but if the name of the product was neuro signature, you know, mapping, you know, then I wouldn't know what the hell that meant, right? If it was, you know, the brain fix solution, I don't have to even think about it. And so that's what I want for your product. So give that some thought, Tim. Everyone should give that some thought. Your product should be so self-explanatory. Your title of your product should be so self-explanatory. By the way, I'm jumping way ahead to next week, because guess what next week is? It's the offer, folks, and I'm going to cover all this in the next week. So I'm sorry I jumped ahead, but yeah, I'm going to lecture you guys again on making an offer that people cannot refuse, as the movie said. That's going to be next week. And oh boy, we're gonna have some fun, because offers, it's all about, you can do all the stuff we're talking about now, but you get to the offer and you flail out the offer, it's crash and burn, and you're gonna wonder what the hell you did wrong. And we're gonna be looking at how do you structure an offer, what are the components of an offer. We're gonna be looking at all sorts of offers. I want you to dig into, over the weekend, if you want to, dig into your Accelerator membership that we gave you, and look at the grand offer. Okay, the final part of the 5-step BSL formula is the grand offer. Okay, that offer is broken into every single step that an offer would ever need to have in it. Okay, So is Copy Pro, but it's even more detailed for specifically for VSLs inside Accelerator. And look at every single step of that offer. Does that mean that every offer works this way? No. Like I said, hashtag not all. But very important to learn that stuff, okay? Because we're gonna have, now you're gonna have to take everything we've been talking about and turn it into a call to action. And unless your call to action is compelling and easy to understand, you're done. It's over. It's over. At this point now, it's all about making it easy to understand. So we're gonna talk about that next week. Until then, dive into the homework, look at the Accelerator, look at the grand offer, study it, walk through it, maybe even be so bold as to create one. And because you're gonna be doing homework next week inside Copy Pro, and you're gonna be creating an offer. So I want to get you from both sides here, and get you guys really thinking about the power of structuring an offer in a potent way. So thanks again for joining the call today. We'll talk to you on Monday.